Hello and welcome to today's lesson on building a Windows domain controller and installing Active Directory. We'll also be attaching client machines to this domain. The goal is to create a virtual enterprise environment which we will then work on hacking. So we are going to start with Windows Server 2016. It is a virtual machine on this website here, Microsoft Evaluation. Links will be provided to every resource. Skip past the 2019. If you do want to do 2019, it works the exact same way in terms of this installation. Come down here to Windows Server 2016 and you're going to download. They're going to ask for some information, name and email, etc. After that's complete, you can download a Windows 10 Enterprise Development virtual machine, and you're going to select VirtualBox right there, and then you're going to download it. Now the Windows Server 2016 and the others are all ISOs. So we're going to actually have to build this one in VirtualBox. But don't worry, it's not too difficult, and I did make a specific list of instructions step by step. Now I'm going to put this away. Now here's VirtualBox Manager, and here's the list that I've created for download and install right here. And then everything with that, and after that we'll go into setting up Active Directory, adding users, file shares, and creating users, creating a service account, SQL, and a certificate, SMB share, setting it up perfectly for using the next tools we're going to create and use called Impacket. That's a suite of Python hacking tools specifically used on Windows systems and Active Directory. Okay, so going by these directions, download and install Windows Server 2016. I don't know if that's showing up on your screen, so let me zoom in just a bit. Alright, just follow these directions. Select and create a new machine. Okay, so over here on the VirtualBox Manager, the blue star, just click New, and let's name this one. As a matter of fact, I want to organize this a little better on my window. There we go. Okay, so click New, and let's just name this one DC01 Domain Controller, and version, it's not Windows 7. We're going to scroll and find Windows 2016 64-bit. Hit Next. I'm going to allocate a little more memory than usual just for speed during setup. That'll do just fine. 4096 is pretty good, but I'll leave 5 right there. Okay, so next. Create a virtual hard disk B1 subsection B. Okay, and right here we adjusted file size, dynamically allocate VDI. Okay, virtual disk image, like I said, dynamically allocated, and this is where it's going to go. 50 gigabytes. I'm going to bump this up to 75. This just gives you actually 100. You don't have to do this. I'm going to do it just to give me extra room. Okay, 100 gigabytes, and I'm going to create. Now, if we start this at this point, it's not going to do anything. It'll just boot into nothing because we have to now attach the ISO, the image that you downloaded from the Microsoft website. So we've done this step, E. Now we can check the settings. Let's go ahead and look at the settings. Now, General, let's go to Advanced, and we want to use a bi-directional clipboard, shared clipboard, drag and drop. This allows copy paste from the host machine to this virtual machine and more. Okay, now let's move down to System. I've already bumped up the RAM a little bit. I'm going to go to Processor. Again, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to bump it up to 3. And this is all dependent on your host machine. So if you have a really nice workstation or gaming rig with, say, a Threadripper and 128 gigs of RAM, you can just do some amazing things with virtual environments. I don't have that level of equipment. I've just got a 1 terabyte SSD, 16 gig of RAM, and a 4-core processor. But that'll be enough. So acceleration, we don't have to worry about that. So processors 3, motherboard, okay, and that's just my preference. You don't have to do this. Screen, remote, recording, don't have to worry about that. Storage, now that's where we're going to attach the ISO. But before we go there, network. We might change this later on to NAT network or maybe even bridged. However, right now we're just going to leave it on NAT. Ports, don't worry about that. No USB, that's fine right there where it is. We don't have to worry about those items down there. So let's go to storage. Okay, so let's check our to-do list. I bumped the memory, the CPU, click storage, click empty disk. Minus that one. I'm going to go back on this one. And let's see, this worked. Okay, add from downloads. There's server 2016. Okay, I'm going to choose it. Okay, so what I just did here, this was empty, clicked on that, then I went to the CD icon up here. I chose to create a virtual optical disk, and I selected the Windows Server 2016 ISO from my downloads folder. So now we're going to import downloads. Click the Windows Server icon, did that. Okay, so let's move forward with this. Got okay. Alright, so if you want to, you can check your settings again, but we've already got that established. Let's start it up and see if that was correct. Okay, looks like it's booting off of Windows. All right, so we've got this, launch install. We can focus right here on the Windows Server 2016. English, United States. Next. Install now. Very soon. And what you're going to do right here on Windows Setup Operating System, click Windows Server 2016 Standard Evaluation Desktop Experience. The other ones are going to be dealing with just command line. This has the GUI in it. You want that. Click Next. Alright, accept that licensing. Click Next. Custom install. See where are we on our to-do list. Selected. Device 0. Don't worry about anything else with the hard drive. Just click Next. Okay, it's installing now. Okay. It's about to restart. Don't touch it, just let it do its thing right here. Once it reboots, you're just going to wait for the GUI to load. Okay. Okay, now to get inside, look down here on the bottom left hand corner, right click that, insert Control Delete. Now use the password you just created. I'm going to make another note for ourselves. Once we have this all set up just right, going to need to take a snapshot of this machine. Yes, I want this to be discoverable on the network. It's not there. Okay, there's another way to do it. That is devices, drive, network, insert guest CD image. There it is. Next, next, install. Yes. Reboot. Step N and O. So here, Control Alt Delete. Okay, and that server manager is going to pop up. Okay, so to adjust the window size, it might actually, sometimes it'll do it automatically. I always do it up here with view, and we can do scaled mode. And keep this in mind, host key right here is right control, so I press the right control plus C to switch back and forth. Jumped over there. So I can press Control C, now it's back there. Now, there we are. Now we can adjust the screen size, we can do a full screen, and makes this more flexible and user-friendly. Okay, so we have completed that. We're on step 2. Okay, we don't actually have to do that. We don't have to check that stuff. Now it's time to set up Active Directory. So we're going to go to Server Manager, which is right here, Server Manager, and going to click Add Roles and Features under Manage. Okay. Now, before we begin, it just talks about the wizard. Role-based or feature-based installation. See on number 5. Select a server from the server pool. Okay, there we go. We will rename this later on. And right now, select Active Directory Domain Services. Add features. We're going to take care of the certificate services later. Don't have to worry about any of that right now. And next. And restart the destination server. Okay. Install. The close. Okay. And see, got to reboot it. Okay, it's not rebooting on its own, so let's go ahead and just reboot it now. Shut down. You have 2 options, unplanned and planned. I just click planned. Continue. So here's what we're going to do now. Step 8. Post-deployment, promote the server to domain controller. There you go. All right, so there's that. We're going to add a new forest. Down here, the 3rd option. We got to wait for this deployment config to finish loading. Add a new forest. Specify domain information. So whatever you want to name this, it's up to you. What I've done is, here's an example, a template. Look at number 11. This is how it's going to work. You the domain controller, the name of this machine, something like this. This just says server-dc. You can name it whatever you want. The domain name, name it something to this effect right here. The capital domain, and then use a period and then a lowercase m. So I'm going to name mine something unique. Dunder.Mifflin. If you have too many letters in there, it can mess it up. Okay. So I gotta wait for this to load. It's going a little slow here. Okay, set the password right there. Now we're gonna click through the next two options. Look at step 13. And BIOS name. This should pop up, populate. So we're on step 14. Wait for net BIOS. Dunder, that's correct. I'm gonna hit next. These are the paths, that's fine. Next. Click next on the prerequisites, or the, review options, that's correct. Close that. And we want to reboot this time, not shut down. Oh, look, it's restarting on its own. Insert Control-Alt-Delete. And now you see, this is the name, whatever you have named your domain controller and your domain. Now, and see, login prompt, step 21. So we just logged in with the password. Again, server manager's popping up. Now it's time to install the certificate. This is to enable LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. Step 23, click on Manage and add roles and features. All right, we're going to do, again, role-based. Select the server from the pool. So before we begin, go ahead and that. Here's role-based. Click Next. Select server from the pool. There it is. All right, Active Directory Certificate Services. Add features. All right. Click that box. Add features. Click Next, and we're going to click Next 3 more times to go through features. Add that. Certificate authority. Next. And restart it. We're on step 31 right here. Okay. And click yes to install. Now we're waiting for this installation progress. So server manager is going to pop up. Let's see. The next thing is going to be to configure the Active Directory certificate settings. And there it is, here on the top. Caution sign. Click on it. It says configure Active Directory certificate settings at services. Okay. Click next on the credentials. I'll let it load up. We're going to click next down here. And click the box for certification authority right there on the top. Then we're going to click next. Enterprise CA, that's good, that's what we want. Root CA, yes. Create a new private key, yes. Just go through with the defaults. Leave that default name. Some people put something like 99 years. I'm just going to put 50. Okay, database, that works. Let's see. All right, we are on. All right. Okay, configure. All right. Now we can close. Reboot again. So we're on step 48. We're going to go to Tools, Active Directory, Users and Computers. All right, there's Tools, Active Directory, Users and Computers. Okay, now click on the domain that we just created. It's in this left column. You can explore it a little bit. We don't have any computers attached just yet. Let's look inside users. Okay, we're going to get rid of a lot of those. If you want, you can kind of explore some of this, but we're just going to, all those are objects. So let's go ahead and click on the users folder. All right, so like I said, we're going to add an organizational unit for groups. We're going to right click on the domain, go to new organizational unit, right there, right click, go to new and organizational unit. I'm naming it clutter. And put all these people in there. There it is. So now step 55, highlight all the objects, that's those people, except for the administrators and guests, and we're going to move them to this folder. Some people name it users, but then that just confuses me because we've already got a users. So, and administrator, we're going to leave the guest alone. Okay. I'm going to move this one to clutter. Move them. Move them. Let's go ahead and security group clutter. Move to there. All right. So now it's time to create new users. This is simple. You're going to right click right here and you're going to go new and scroll down here to user. And I'm going to create some users here. I'm going to create this guy here. Michael. Oh, shoot. No, wrong page. There we go. And last name, Scott. And his login name, I'm just going to say it's Scott. And that's going to look like, see here. So if you were to do John Doe, it's going to look like that. Look over here on the left-hand side. So this is what it's going to look like when you put a user in there. And there's the user form. So just go ahead and click next. His password, I'm going to uncheck must change password. Again, that's password 1. And next. All right, full name Michael Scott. User login Scott at Dunder Mifflin. I'm going to put that in my notes. Okay, finish. So let's create, I'm going to create a few more, and you can do the same thing with as many or as you want. This one's going to be, let's test the drag and drop the bidirectional clipboard. Good, that worked. if you take my other course, the Bash Scripting for Offensive Security, there is actually a part where we do the same thing we're doing here, except on a Linux machine, adding groups users with Bash scripting on the terminal. Okay, so his logon name, let's just call him D. Dot. Just call him Dwight. Dwight at Dunder Mifflin. Password 1. And uncheck that. Next. Logon name. Put that in my notes for sanity checking. All right, next one. Okay, so now we have some users. Later on, I'm off camera, I'm probably going to create some more, and I'll create some groups too. All right, so now we have to create a service account. It's going to be a SQL service account. So we're going to right click, look here, line 388, step 1, right click on the administrator, copy the object, and make it a SQL service account. It's not uncommon, this does happen. Okay, copy. And we're just going to name it first name SQL, SQL, last name service, logon name, we'll do SQL service. Look here, we're on 408. Okay, SQL service. And all right. At the domain name, that's good. Password, he's going to have a different password actually, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm just going to give him the password. Lowercase THE underscore capital PASSW 0RD exclamation point. All right, no password business error. Okay. SQL service at Dunder Mifflin. Put that on mine over here. Okay, finish that. Okay, so we've got that done. User's description. So let's see, it's in properties, user's description. Yep, description. So sometimes this happens. They'll do this. Password is the PASSWORD exclamation point. Now we're going to set up a server, the service principal name. So we're going to apply this. Okay. So we'll see that already popped up. So to set the SPN, we got to open up the command prompt. So go down here to Windows, type CMD, command. Okay, caps lock off. Now, I believe I wrote, this is essentially what the template's supposed to look like. It's going to be that right there. Set SPN -A, and it should be the name of your server. So remember, I set this one to dunder.dc. Okay, so lowercase set SPN space -A, and now the name of the server, I named this one DUNDER, all capital, -DC. Okay, now / and we're going to go with the SQL service. And dot, and now the should be the domain name. So this was Dunder.Mifflin. And we're going to do colon and port 60111. And now the domain again, so it's going to be Dunder, just the first name, oops, all capitals, / SQL service. Okay. And checking registered principal name looks good. So now we can check it. Okay, look here, step 7. Then on line 451, you're going to type it in here. You're going to do the same. Set SPN, set service principal name. And this one I'm going to do hyphen capital T. And then our domain name, and my domain name is capital Dunder, dot, and then underscore Mifflin. And Q, and you're going to use your wildcards here. Okay, see that right there? This is what we should see. This is going to enable a Kerberos attack. Now it's time to create SMB shares and open ports on 139 and 445. Okay, so got to create a designated folder for this. And close this out. And so yeah, just go to your server manager dashboard. Just go down here to File and Storage Services. And from here, you're going to go to Shares. And you're going to go to Tasks. All right, so look, now we're on 498, step 4. Click Tasks. And we want to add a new share. SMB share quick, right there on the top. All right, now we click next, and we're going to use a custom path. Now we're going to browse, and we're going to select, right here, look at 6, select the SMB folder you created. I named it SMB stuff. It's going to appear right here, it's that. So SMB stuff, select that. All right, it's appearing correctly. And we're going to go through next 3 times. All right, SMB stuff, that's just fine. Should I just, I'll put a subscriber. SMB hacking. All right. Allow caching or share. And permissions, no. Confirm. SMB stuff, SMB hacking. Based, and we want to step 8, create it. Now we're going to close the window, and this should open SMB. After this, we're going to check ipconfig. So close. Now let's go ahead and open the command prompt, which I just closed, and go ip config. Okay, should look something like this. Connection specific DNS up, local admin, and your. So now some of this is because I'm on NAT. I'm not going on a NATed network. I didn't take care of the DNS. So what I'm going to do is go in and troubleshoot some of this, and I will get right back, tell you what I did, and we will go from there and add some other machines to this system. Okay, so I figured out what the issue was regarding the network settings on my domain controller. I had to go in and just change the network settings in the in VirtualBox manager. Right here, I had to change it from NAT to bridge. That just works better on my machine. And I also went in here and I had to change this preferred DNS server. It was pointing at itself at localhost 127.0.0.1. So I put it to obtain DNS server automatically. So it has internet connection. And you can see here is the results. this is not having to do anything with it. And what's going to happen now that we have this Windows 10 virtual machine that we're going to add, that the IP for this domain controller is going to go in the preferred DNS settings on the Windows 10, because the Windows 10 is going to have to point back to here. Okay, so I made another to-do list. So install and add Windows 10 client to the domain. So I'm going to cancel all this out. Also, I finished adding users and groups. I went a little overboard with it. All the characters from The Office, most of them, created groups for them, added permissions. We're going to do that later. And I'm just going to go ahead and close that down, minimize it. And I can close that. So you're going to need the Windows domain controller open up and running so that you can add the Windows 10 to the domain. And one other thing I did, I had to change the computer name. I don't think I did that successfully. In any event, everything's going well, and let's get started. So I'm just going to minimize. Well, also added browsers. Minimize this. We are going into show you the website where you get it. Again, this is the Microsoft.com download virtual machines, Windows 10 development environment. You're going to click VirtualBox and it'll download. What you're going to have to do is unzip it. Once you unzip it, that's when you're going to have an OVA and you're going to have the easy import, hopefully, usually. So open up your VirtualBox manager, go up here to File, go down to Import Appliance, click the folder button, go to Downloads, and you see I have Kali, I've got a Windows 7. This is it, Windows Dev 2008. I don't know why it says 2008, but I'm going to import this one. Just leave all this as is for now. This may take a few minutes to import. So what you want to do after this is configure the adapter settings. As a matter of fact, yeah, look at that, 7 minutes. Well, let's just go over this. So, like I said, be sure to have Server 2016 up and running during this process. And the RAM, the memory, the CPU. Remember how in the earlier lesson I bumped mine up to 4096 and gave it 3 CPUs. I've bumped it down now, decreased the memory, decreased the CPUs, so that I won't overload or overwork my host machine. And keep that in mind, because you will freeze it if you are not careful. So in VirtualBox, what we're going to do is, since I have Kali on bridged, I have the Windows domain controller on bridged, I'm going to put the Windows 10 on bridged, just for now. And now here's the steps. So we are 17 minutes. I'm just going to go over this and then I'll pause the video. So what we want to do here, we want to change the network adapter settings in the VM. Like I said, point its domain DNS towards the DC. We're going to attach it to the domain by going into this settings here. We're going to use the domain admin account to join this PC. We're also going to name the PC to join it to the network. And then the client restarts. You will add a local user using the admin account. And we'll go from there. I'll pick this up as soon as this virtual machine is done installing. See you then. Okay, now the Windows 10 VM has finished installing. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Got the VirtualBox Manager open here. Windows evaluation. We're not going to start. Let's just look at the settings. Okay, so system, we can leave that memory alone. 2048, that's plenty. Process, I'm going to bump that processor up. I do have the Windows Server 2016 running in the background, but when you don't have enough processors or memory, it does run slow. I'll bump this up a little. I'll get to 3000. That'll work. display, that's fine. Storage, audio, network. If you're using NAT, go ahead, but I'm using Bridge on all three of my VMs, Kali, DC, and this one. Okay, and see, general, let's do the bi-directional clipboard. Okay, all right, looks good. Let's start it up. First time I've booted this one up. All right, so there it is. First thing you need to do after you've got your configurations for the network adapters in VirtualBox, once you open up Windows 10, you're going to come down here to this bottom right hand side. You're going to right click on this little icon and click on Open Network and Internet Settings. You're going to go to Change Adapter Options, Ethernet, and then open that. Go to Properties, it's Ethernet 2 Properties. Click on Internet version 4, Properties, and this is where you need to point the Windows 10 virtual machine to the domain controller, using the domain controller's IP address as the DNS for the Windows 10. And on my machine, that is 192.168.1.17. Okay. And I'm going to close that. So I'm going to minimize this. Actually, now I'll leave the domain control up. So return to our procedure. So we've got change the IP. Yep. Search bar, we're going to search the domain. Now it's time to attach it to the domain. So domain access worker school. Okay. And select join a domain. Connect right there. And this Windows 10 VM is very resource hungry. Right here, just don't even bother filling that out. Go alternate actions, join this device to a local Active Directory domain. Dunder dot, and then under. Okay, so now you're going to join with your domain controller admin. So administrator and password. Okay, enter the account, person. So back to our to-do list. Skip the account and restart. Now after the Windows client restarts, we go to the DC and we're going to check in the computer's folder. It should now be there after we refresh the tab. And we're going to need to rename this Windows 10 virtual machine as well. So while that's restarting, we can go, I'm going to minimize that, bring it back open, get tools, and I'm going to Active Directory users and computers. I had to bump this CPU down to just 1 because this Windows 10 machine is such a resource hungry VM. Okay, so let's go to computers, and there it is. The Windows evaluation. Okay, so let's join the domain. That's working. Back to our list. All right, now we got to open it up as another user. Before we do that, who do we want to log in as? Well, let's look at the domain controller. Let's look at our users. And I want to make this one belong to Michael Scott. There he is. And I'm going to open its properties, and whoever you want to add this to, just going to go to, excuse me, the general account, profile. Where's this? There's his account. So log on. So I've got it set to Scott at Dunder Mifflin, and I'm actually going to use this just to make sure. So I signed in that, use PC. All right. Okay, so other user, sign in, other user as domain admin, Dunder administrator. This will allow us to configure this computer for any one that we want to assign it to. If it takes too long, I'll just pause the video and restart. So back to our list and just review it. So I want to add Michael Scott to the computer. So adding user to the PC by making them local admin, not the domain. So we're going to search manage and open up computer manager. Okay, it's back up. Computer management. Okay, so from computer management, Windows 10, search it. I'm going to go to local users and groups right here. Then I'm going to click on groups. And then I'm going to click on, here we go to administrators right there. All right. And we're going to add, and this is the person's name I'm going to add. I want to add Michael Scott. So that's actually Scott at Dunder Mifflin. And you can just check names for autocomplete. There it is. Okay. So there he is. I'm going to apply. Hit OK. And we got that, apply OK. Now you're going to do this on all the other member machines. So go ahead and set up another Windows 10 virtual machine. I'm including a Windows 7 virtual machine with this course. We may use it later on. And the benefit of it is it's easier to hack. The downside of it is because Windows is no longer supporting Windows 7, the machine's license has expired and it will only stay on for a certain amount of time, as you probably recall that when we were attacking it with buffer overflows. Okay, well, I will see you in the next video.